Okay, welcome to part 2 of this tutorial series. In this video we're going to be creating the rest of this function and hopefully implementing it on our search page. So where we left off, basically we had this print underscore r of the keywords. So what we want to do is basically just remove that because it was just for sort of debugging and to help me explain something a little bit more. I was waving my arms then, explaining. Right, don't talk about my arms. Move on. The next thing we need to do after we have the keywords is use them in an SQL query. So what we're going to do is define this SQL variable that we always do and set this equal to an empty string, and then what we're going to be doing is selecting the post title, whoops, oh no, I was right, and the post body. And we're going to be selecting those from the posts table. And I'm going to be renaming these. I've talked about this before again, so we're going to use the as keyword to change the sort of name of this column if you like, so give it an alias. So as title, and for this bottom one, as posts. Yeah, that's right. And now the next thing we need to do is add the left function around the post body. The reason for that is that we might not always want the entire body to be displayed in our search results. We might just want like a little snippet so people can then click on it. I did mention that I wasn't going to be actually making them clickable or anything sort of user interfacey, but just this is something that is quite useful, so I thought I'd mention it. So we're going to use the left function. It's a MySQL function. It takes two parameters. The first is the string or column that you want to shorten, and the next one, second, is the number of characters. So I'm just going to do 100. You could sort of use different functions and stuff to add like a ... after the string if it's been shortened, but just for this, left 100 will do. In fact, all of the posts are shorter than 100 anyway, so this won't ever do anything. But I just thought I'd mention it because it's quite a nice thing to do. So after we have, well, let's do what am I saying? After we have this simple select, we need a where sort of clause, which is sort of where the actual searching comes in. So we need to do where something, and this something is going to be a string similar to this, which I'll just type out manually, similar to post title. So this is like what we've used before. So you do where post title equals like something as a string, like so. But that would only match if the post title is actually something, not if it just contains something. What we want to do is have it sort of return true, if you like, or match if the word something is in the post title anywhere, even if it's like part of a word at the end, at the start, whatever. Well, actually not quite at the end or the start, but I won't talk about that too much. Moving on. Right, what am I saying? Oh yeah. So instead of matching just the full string here, we want to check if like this word is in at all the title. So instead of using an equals, we use the MySQL like keyword, and this allows us to use the % symbol here and at the end of the word. And this is like a wildcard. This means that this will match if something is anywhere in the title column. The reason for that is that this % character will basically match anything. So it'll match any character, something, followed by any length of any characters again. So yeah, that's kind of why that works. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm not really sure why, because it's quite simple, but yeah. So instead of adding, what we need to do now we've done that is instead of having this something here, we need to use each of our keywords. So we can make use of the implode function here, and because it's quite sort of a long line, I'm not going to do it in line here. I'm going to go up here and define a new variable called title where equals, and the reason I call it title where is because it's the title column. Well, it's going to be a string for the title column, and it's the where part of the query. So title where, simple. So this is going to be basically what we have here, but without the where part. So I'm going to cut that and paste it here, and then we need to replace this something with something else. So we're going to add an empty sort of string bit there. By the way, just in case you haven't met this before, this sort of full stop, dot, period, mark thingy, just sort of means join, concatenate, proper name for that. Basically, using that would just join two strings. So if I just had something, that would be effectively the same, although PHP would do a bit more pointless memory use, CPU work, slower script, bad. But we're going to be using a function here instead of the word something. So it'll join the string that the function returns sort of into this bigger string, if that makes sense, which obviously doesn't. So what we're going to be using inside this string here is the implode function. And I mentioned this before, so I won't go into too much detail, but what this function does is basically the opposite of explode. It takes an array and a string. String is the first parameter, and it will return sort of a bigger string, which is the array, each element of the array with the string between it. So say if you had an array that like contained the numbers 0 to 9, and you gave it the string, which is the first parameter, of just like a vertical bar, what you would get is the numbers 0 to 9 with a vertical bar between them. So you'd have 0, bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, blah blah blah, all the way up to 9. There wouldn't be one at either end, it'd just be between, which is why we can use it here, because we want to put something between each element of the keywords array. And the something that we want to put between each element of the keywords array, bit of a mouthful, is percent quote, oh, meant to use double quotes there, percent quote space post title like quote percent. So yeah, that's that. The reason we want to do that is that putting that between each element of the array will kind of match the one outside, if that makes sense. So consider the first element of the array, it won't have anything put before it by the implode function, but it will have this before it just because, well, that's before it in this string. So this highlighted bit here will match up with this, and then this bit here will match up with this one that we added afterwards, and that'll sort of repeat over and over. So for the ones that aren't at the start or the end, this one will be the end and this will be the start. So I think I explained this a little bit more in the implode explode tutorial, so probably go and watch that if you don't understand what I'm talking about. If not, just feel free to copy it. Well, no, don't do that, try and understand. It's not too complicated, it takes a little bit of working out. I spent like a good couple of minutes trying to get this right. So yeah, moving on. The next parameter that you need to pass to the implode function is the array that you want to implode. So in this case, it's just keywords. Easy. Not lay words. Don't know how you'd say that. Keywords. And that should return the thing that we can use in the where clause. Now, part of the reason why I've defined this as a new variable is so that we can simply copy and paste it to also search the body. So we can just change, we can copy and paste it and then just change title to body, not body u, just body, and these post titles to post body, and the post title over here to post body, like so. And then we can do where title where or body where. Obviously you'd use the right kind of brackets and an underscore there. So what we could do now is just do echo SQL, not sal, SQL. There we go, and go back to our page, just hit reload. If I just view the page source of this page, this will appear as we kind of typed it in plain text, so hopefully you can see that. So what we have is the bit we typed, select things from table, where, and then this bit here is the title where variable, and this bit here is the body where variable. So we have where post title like this, which was the first keyword. Oh, whoops, I did it wrong. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So going back to our code, instead of just, see, I told you it took me about 2 minutes to work it out. This is why I kept getting it wrong. So instead of having this space here, because looking at our page source again, where post title like this, post title like is, doesn't make any sense. We need to add the or keyword in here. So going back to our code for like the 4th time, we just need to change this space to space or space, and the same for the other one. And then reload our page source. The or keyword has now appeared, so we have now where post title like this, or post title like is, or post title like something. So that's checking each of the keywords individually to see if they are in the post title. And then we do the same for the post body. Obviously different column name there. So yeah, that looks like it's worked. We'll find out in a minute if it actually has. The syntax looks okay to me, but I'm bad at spotting typos. So just close the page source, and now we actually need to perform this query, because at the moment we are just sort of defining it as an SQL variable. So delete the echo, because that was just for testing, and define a new variable called result. And that's going to be equal to MySQL query, and what we need to pass to this query function is the SQL variable. And then we need to define an array, because this is basically what we always do, so I won't go into too much detail. And this is the array that we're going to put each of the results into, and then we're going to return that array. So then we need to put the results into the array, like I said, so we're going to use a while loop, because that's just what you do. So while row equals MySQL fetch a sock results. I shouldn't have used result and results, that's a little confusing. Take note of the S's. So while this is not equal to false, do something, and the something we're going to be doing is results with an S equals row. And this will just simply put each row of the table into the results array. And then finally we just need to return results. So that's basically that. So if we go back to our search posts page and just change just pointless calling it to print underscore r of the function and reload our page, you can see we get some results. If I just view the page source again, it'll be a bit clearer. So, ooh, I've maximized, didn't mean to do that. Surprised me rather. So we have 2 results returned from whatever search I entered. This is something. So this kind of highlights the sort of point really. You would probably want to sort of not return these results, because I think this first one has just matched the is here in characterizing, and in the other one, what's matched here? Oh, is. So you may want to like filter out small words, or check if a space is either side of a word. That doesn't really help either. Google does it by filtering out sort of small words. So any like 3-character or less word could be removed. That would effectively do it. But not something I'm going to be covering in this, because this is the sort of simple principle of creating a search system. Notice I'm trying to avoid the word search engine again. So just close that now. You can see that we've got 2 results. So what we want to do next is format this page in sort of a bit of a nicer way. So just going back to our code again, what we want to do is define the search posts, the result of this function, as a variable. So I'm going to call a new variable, define a new variable called search results. Set that equal to the search posts function. Then come down a few lines. You could use this array. You could like use the count function. So I just did simply echo count search posts. Correct typos. Search posts, and reload our page again. So we get 0. Damn. Oh, search results. That was the name of the function. Whoops. There we go. Hit reload. 2. So that's how you could get the number of results returned. Potentially. That's one way you can do it. So going back to our page, what we can do next is format this. So you could, we're not going to actually using this, I just thought I'd mention it slightly briefly. So what we can do now is check that some search results have been returned using the empty function again, because an empty array is empty. So if empty search results, then we can just do a little error here, echo your search returned no results. Sorry about that. And we don't need to do an else here because for each is a loop. Well, let's just do it for each. So this is what we're doing now. We are looping over each of the search results, displaying the title and body. Because the function returns an empty array for no results, we don't need to do else here. We can just let it carry on, because for each on an empty array just does nothing. So for each search results as results. So for each result, we want to echo the post title. I'm going to do this in a h3 tag. So echo result title and echo the body in a paragraph tag. So add the paragraph tags and then the body result body. There we go. So we go back to our page and hit reload. We get that. Why do we get that? Shouldn't be getting that. I'm a little stumped. Okay. Body, not posts. Why the? Well, there you go. Never mind. Hit reload. See, that highlights why you should have indexed undefined messages, because otherwise, if that didn't happen, you'd just have no body here and you'd be debugging for ages. Anyway, there we go. This is basically where we started off. Empty array returns when you search for nothing, because there are no results. Yep, that's basically it. Not really sure what to say now, so I guess I'll end. So yeah, to sort of sum up slightly, what we've done is create a simple search system that will search for things in a database. Like I said, I may do a slightly more advanced version of this where it includes sort of all kinds of nice things. So yeah, I'm going to end it here because I've got literally nothing else to say. So thanks for watching, and hopefully this was at least vaguely useful. Actually, one thing I should mention, sorry, is that one thing you can do to sort of help with efficiency slightly is check if the keywords array is empty here. So you could check if it was empty, and if it is empty, just return an empty array immediately. So then you wouldn't have to actually do the query, which would be a pointless query. So just here we can do if empty keywords return array, which is what will happen anyway, but it will mean that we don't need to process the array using implode, and we don't need to run a query that we otherwise wouldn't need to. So yeah, there's a slight last modification. Just hit reload, does nothing. So yeah, there's a little extra thing for you. Actually, would empty? Yeah, no, good. Well, there you go. That's that little extra bit. So thanks for watching again, and hopefully it wasn't too obvious that I recorded this little bit at the end separately.